So welcome to everyone, and this is part 2 of what we began this morning, something of a tour of the Catholic web. You don't have to have been at part 1, but you might want to go back and look at it online. We looked through various resources online for us as Catholics, and I gave a number of very specifically Catholic-oriented websites, but one in particular that I concentrated on quite a bit was Wikipedia. That is still, I find, a very, very good first place to go, not necessarily the last, but Google and Wikipedia, I mean, anything that I'm doing, I go there first. So in this part, we're going to look at some of the tools for communicating. I kind of say the resources are really for developing ourselves more than finding something to give to others. I do not like the image of teaching of getting stuff that I can give to my students. What we have to do, and particularly in regards to the faith and regards to evangelization, we have to let ourselves be formed and then become instruments of helping others form themselves. And so that's really where I'm coming from in this whole idea of how do we form ourselves, and then what are the tools that we can use to empower others. One of the images of empowerment that I gave in the first talk was basically anything I can do, you can do better. And if we try to relate to others with that in mind and teach others from that perspective, I think we can't help but be successful. Anything I can do, you can do better. So let me help you. The other point that I brought up in this morning was with regard to ministry, the ministry of evangelization. Ministry means standing small. It comes from the Latin words minus and stare, to stand small. That means we stand as tall as we can, yes, but in relation to the others, we lift them up so that they are tall, so that they are really above us. And to me, that's the purpose of ministry, to lift the other up. So our key phrase here for evangelization is, as you have freely received, freely give. Because we have a commission. And notice, Jesus did not say, go forth and make converts. Jesus said, go forth and make disciples. And I think that there is a big difference there, because conversion is basically to something, a religion, at least the way we usually use it. Making disciples is bringing people into the sphere of Jesus himself. And that really, I think, is what Jesus is saying. And then we teach them. What do we teach them? We teach them Jesus. And we can't give what we don't have. So sharing, using social media, I think one of the things that is kind of key is we've got to be purposeful. We can't be passive on social media. I think a lot of people let themselves be drawn into a trap of passivity, which means that their life revolves around either cute kittens or heated political demonizing, not even argumentation, because I don't see much real argument online at all, really, sadly. It is just talking at one another, demonizing the other, and that doesn't do much for evangelization. So most of what I'm going to show is basically what I do, and it's going to center on these particular things. Making a video, loading it to YouTube, sharing it on Facebook, writing about it on a blog, and publicizing it with MailChimp. And all of that you can actually do on your smartphone. Some of it's much easier to be done on the big computer. But so let's begin. I'm really going to begin with what I do most frequently now, and that is make recordings, usually this way with my smartphone and the selfie stick tripod, homilies. I never give a homily now that I don't record, and I give a class. It used to be weekly, now every other week at Nazareth House on. I call it the Banquet of the Word on the upcoming Sunday Scriptures. And you can find that also at length or ad nauseum, perhaps, on my YouTube channel. So here's kind of the way that I do it. And one reason why I do it is I kind of want to preserve this. Sometimes, quite frankly, in a homily, I will come up with, in the preparation, I'll come up with an insight that I want to keep, even though I haven't written it down and probably won't write it down, but I kind of want to preserve it, if nothing else, for myself, and be able to go back to it at leisure, when I get some leisure, and discover, how smart I used to be. My preparation for homilies is not to prepare the homily, but to prepare myself to give the homily. And I think that's an important thing. Prayerfully reflect on the gospel and the scripture in the light of history and theology. I always love to make those connections. And also in the light of my own life and in the light of our world. And the basic guiding question, I think, for everything that we do in evangelization and in teaching, the basic question we have to ask ourselves is, so what? If we cannot answer that question for ourselves, what difference does this make? So what? If we can answer that for ourselves, we're not going to be able to help anybody else come to that answer either. Notice I didn't say we're not going to be able to answer it for anyone else. I think it's much better to look at it helping others to come to the answer. So, we're all commissioned by Christ to evangelize. So here is kind of the mechanics of how I do this. I'm demonstrating here in my room how to set my iPad up with the selfie stick tripod, and setting it up this way, quite simply, just put it into the bracket like that, and it moves up and down, and then simply extend it, and then the feet on the tripod, this tripod, come out this way, and then I'm going to put it on a small table here in front of the couch. On the home screen, tap the camera icon, and then tap the video, and then go up to the camera reverse icon and make it selfie mode. Hit the record button, and when it is square, it is recorded. And one of the reasons why I think it's kind of interesting to set it up like this, on a small table, on a couch, maybe with a wall behind you, is that this is a very good sort of spot to make a little video interviewing somebody. I could interview somebody about their faith. I could interview somebody about perhaps in RCIA, Christian initiation, to interview somebody about their own journey of faith. something that you can share. You can share with others. You don't have to put it up on YouTube. You can use it in a class. You can use it for private sharing. There's a variety of ways that you can make use of this technique of recording yourself and recording others um, on, uh, on the iPhone. So I hope this is helpful. Now I'm going to go from here to the chapel because I'm going to use this particular iPhone to record my homily this morning and then record the process of putting it up on YouTube. So I set the camera with the tripod, the selfie stick tripod, on a table near the lectern, and then during the Alleluia verse, I press the record button to provide a little bit of edge for the trimming of the video when I put it up on YouTube. You'll see in a moment what I mean. Here comes Deacon Charlie Wolford, who is going to read the gospel.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Herod the Tetrarch heard of the refutation of Jesus, and he said to his
Here, in the interests of time,
"This
I'm
man
going to
is
fast forward, if you
He has
will,
been raised
cut it
from the
basically to
dead.
the end of the homily
That is
and the
why
end of this recording.
mighty powers are at work in him." Now Herod had arrested John, bound.
So what it all boils down to is if she's the mother of Jesus, she's the mother of the whole Jesus, and that means Jesus as God, but that also means us as members of his body. And it's for that reason that we continue to have confidence in her maternal love and care for us as members of the body of Christ. So the homily ends here, but I continue to record through the prayer of the faithful, largely because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the liturgy. He visits the church of St. Mary Major and prays before the image of Mary, the salvation, the health of the Roman people, that his dedication. However, at this point, I'm going to cut to the end. We pray to the Lord. For renewed to the loving mercy of God our Father, we pray to the Lord. Now here at the end of the prayer, you'll see me going to the iPhone and turning it off. What we need according to your will through Christ our Lord. Amen. After Mass, I now want to load the or upload the video to YouTube, to my YouTube account. So I go to Photos on the device screen, you see in the upper left. So I hit that. And I look at the camera roll, and down at the bottom is a video that was 12 minutes and 32 seconds. I tap that. And then look at the little icon, the box with the arrow going up. That's the share icon. So I tap that and it selects it, and I get a menu there, one of which includes YouTube. So I tap that, and I get a screen that will ask me to give the homily, or the name, the title of the video. I'm just going to put homily. And the date, which I do the year, month, day format. So it's 17/08/08. 707. I'll skip the description for the moment. We'll use standard definition because that will load much faster. I do not consider generally my homilies to be comedy, so I use a different category. The most appropriate one they give is education. And at this point, I don't want it to be public, so I put it on private, and then I hit publish, you see up in the upper right. And now the iPhone is preparing the video for loading, and then it will begin to upload. The speed of the upload will depend on how fast your wireless internet connection is. And in my room, which is where I'm doing this, the internet connection is fairly fast for download, but it is rather slow for upload. So notice it says that it will be about more or less 5 minutes remaining. I'm going to cut out a part of this video so that we don't have to sit here waiting for 5 minutes. So now it has been published to YouTube. So I close the uploading app or turn the iPad off. Now on my MacBook laptop computer, I'm going to log into my YouTube page and go up here to this icon with my picture, click it, and select Creator Studio. And we'll find right here the homily, the file of the homily. I'm going to click Edit. And you see the title that I gave it. I'm going to give it a bit of an additional title, and that is At Nazareth House. And notice it's private, so I'm going to simply save the changes right now. And then the changes being saved, I'm going to go up here to Enhancements. And you may recall that I recorded a little bit more at the beginning during the Alleluia. And now Deacon Charlie Wolford is going to approach for the gospel. I pause right there, and that's at 27 seconds. Okay, I'm going to trim, go back up to 27 seconds, 34, 21, okay, 20, right there. I'm going to stop and hit split. Split this clip, delete that. Then I'm going to go through the homily to somewhere around the end of it, which should be right about here, I think. Which meant she gave birth to him in his divinity as well. And that means Jesus as God, but not for us as members of the body of Christ. So here at the end of the homily, I stop it. I left the recording on through the Prayer of the Faithful to put a section that I can also trim. So we split it here and delete that Prayer of the Faithful part. Now we have the homily well, beginning with Deacon Charlie's Gospel and then going through the homily without any extraneous material. So I click Done to confirm these changes.
The Lord be with you.
But there is something else to pay attention to. The way the lighting is in the chapel, and let's go to where my image is. You'll notice that my face is rather dark. So see this little sliding bar here that says fill light. I'm going to go up to about halfway. Okay, you'll notice that my face looks a little bit more natural there with the fill light setting a little bit higher than it does here because of the light. So you can also use this adjustment to change the light and the contrast and so on of your video. So with the light somewhat modified to give a little better image, we'll save it. And this will click save there too. And this will take some time to for the video edit to be in progress, but in the meantime, I'm going to do two things. Go back to the edit and the settings. I'm going to type in a description. You don't need to sit through all the typing, so I'm fast forwarding. Set up. Now the only thing I have to do now is to move or change the setting from private to public, meaning that anybody can find it, anybody can view it, and then hit publish. What I'm also going to do is copy the URL, the internet address of this video. I'm going to copy it because my next step is going to be, notice the edit is still in progress right here, but my next step is going to be to go to Facebook. And I'll go to my page in Facebook, and notice the homily has been posted for last Wednesday. So here is my homily this morning. And I paste the internet address, and you'll notice it automatically puts a preview of it up on Facebook. So I post that. And there it is. And so you can now go to my Facebook page and take a look at that, or go to my YouTube page and take a look at that. So you can watch the homily there at that address. You may have noticed I got the date wrong. I was typing in 170807. It was actually 05. It was last Saturday when I did it. But that was easily corrected, and the corrected version is up. A little bit more on YouTube. If you don't have a Google account, get one. And you can, this is the page where you can create your Google account. Just very simply put in your name and email address and create a password. And your birthday and gender and phone number, mobile phone number. The last two I don't think are required for the account, but it is for some other things. So You then go to YouTube and sign in with your Google, with your address and password. Click the sign in up in the upper right-hand corner. And then create a channel. And here's the directions that are not hard to find to create the channel. What it basically requires is that you have to upload something. And when you upload it, it will prompt you to create a channel. And then confirm that you want to create a channel. And then the world is yours, metaphorically. Now, once you've begun, there's a lot that you can do. Here are several sets of tutorials that are provided by Google themselves, Gmail, YouTube themselves, that you could look at and make use of. Now, all of these things, I'm going to be publishing this not only on YouTube, but I'm also going to put up PDF slides so that these links will be clickable on the PDF. And that will be available on my website, my blog site. So how about Facebook? Well, for beginners or a review of basics, there are several tutorials. I'm not going to show them, but particularly for adult seniors and non-technical people, how to do it and what to do, managing your privacy settings. For evangelization, I think there's a few things to keep in mind, one of which is don't put anything ever on Facebook that you don't want the whole world to see. Make everything public. And that's great for us because the good news is what we want to tell the world. And so if you use it as an evangelization tool, an evangelization instrument, you put up what you want to tell the world. And that means avoid overly personal stuff. The whole world doesn't have to have a running commentary on your emotional state every single moment of the day. Cute stuff. We are super saturated with kittens. Politics and argumentation. As I said, there's very little argumentation on there. There's a lot of demonization, but very little real serious argument. But stay out of the politics on Facebook. And that takes a lot of discipline. And I haven't always quite managed that either. Before you repost something, be always careful to verify whether it actually is true or accurate. And then what to post? Well, the things we covered in part 1. Any discoveries that you make from the various Catholic news sites, various Catholic commentary sites, something you think is really worth sharing, that would be beneficial to someone else, not just to get it off your chest, but beneficial to someone else. That's a good thing to post on Facebook, and then put a couple of words of commentary. I think this is a really good point. It is worthwhile checking out, that kind of thing. It's always good to say why. What I often do is take a quote from something and put it in my comment box on Facebook when I give a link to the article. Many of the things that you'll run across on blog sites, on other websites, have that little icon there, the little button to automatically post it to Facebook. But they always ask for, a comment before the article itself. Well, give a good comment. I would also say, for evangelization purposes, make and accept as many friends as you can. On my Facebook page, you notice I had something like 1,500 or so friends. They're not all close intimates. But then unfriend those that behave badly. And don't waste too much time on the news feed. That's where everybody else's post just flashes before you. Like what's good, ignore what's not. Don't waste time trying to straighten people out. Moving on to blogging. Why not blog? We have good news to share, like Jesus. Our teaching often takes the form of stories. Stories are the best things to share. It's a nice way to get published without having to deal with a publisher, because you are your own publisher. And there are a lot of models out there, and like I say, anything they can do, you can do too. Where do we get some models and ideas as to how to write for a blog, what to put on a blog, and all of that? These are several sites that I've run across. One claims to have the top 50 Catholic blogs. The next one is Catholic Blogs, followed by the successor, New Catholic Blogs. There's hundreds of them on there. It's not complete because he doesn't have mine, but Patheos is a religious site, religious sharing site that many bloggers use. Many of the bloggers from Patheos migrated to Aletheia when it started. And Aletheia I referred to in my former part one as a good site to be familiar with, to keep coming back to, because it has a lot of good Catholic-centered or Catholic-oriented news and commentary from, I think, some very, very good people. It would be nice to, get into sharing good sites that we've run across and why we find them useful and all of that. I did set up a page, a group on Yammer on the topic of this talk, the Catholic Web. Check that one out and, contribute. And let's get something going. So how do you get started with your own blog? Well, the blog is short for the word weblog. I always find it intriguing when people use the last part of a sentence or last part of a word as the as the kind of the nickname, the easy part, like hood for neighborhood, blog for weblog, that sort of thing. It actually is your very own website. And WordPress.com is free and makes it easy. You can keep it very simple and customize it in countless ways. Start at the beginning with learnwordpress.com. And then step by step, there are a number of guides also for WordPress. One good site is WP Beginner. And you can get a lot from that. After that, sky's the limit. Email ministry. What I cringe at when I receive an email where the subject line starts with 2 or 3 forwards. And invariably, that person has revealed to his or her entire address list the address of everybody else on his or her address list, plus the addresses of all of those who have forwarded that to them. And it's awful when you have to scroll through bunches and bunches of the of other people's addresses in order to find just exactly what they're forwarding, and then see that it's a couple of cartoons of cute kittens. But the worst thing about that is that you are revealing their addresses, their email addresses, to anybody who might want to make bad use of them. Scammers and spammers and that sort of thing. One way people get around that is by BCing everybody. But that doesn't solve the problem, and overdoing that can invite you to be known as a spammer. And Google filters in particular don't have a lot of patience and tolerance for for those who are identified as spammers. So how do you send the same email to a lot of people safely? Well, there are two solutions. There's a lot more, but these two are the best for the average user, in my opinion. YAM, Y-A-M-M, and MailChimp. YAM is yet another mail merge, and it's a Google Docs add-on. And you can get it at yetanothermailmerge.com. You import your names and addresses to a Google spreadsheet. And then you write your letter as a Gmail draft, and then you simply click the button, and it goes off to all of those people. It can go off, each one is personalized, so you can put dear and then first name, and each person is going to receive it as Dear Danielle, Dear Molly, Dear Pat, so on. This is a demonstration of how simple it is to safely mail an email to a large group of persons using yet another mail merge, which is an add-on to the Google documents, the Google spreadsheets. The first thing you do is simply prepare a Google spreadsheet with the names and email addresses of the people that you want to send to. You can write this out on a blank spreadsheet. You can also import it from your mailing list, your contact list. You can also import it from a CSV file, comma-separated data file. So there are a lot of ways that you can compile that list. You do want to be sure, however, that as far as possible the email addresses are genuine. So here is a list that I wrote. It's totally fictitious. It's basically the last 9 popes with their given names and a fictitious email address. I chose to do this because I simply did not want to use any real email addresses on here that might violate people's personal privacy. So these are, I wrote these up as a sample for us to send to. Now, having done that, prepare the email that you want to send. And here I made a draft of a letter that I wanted to write to these popes, just to let them know that I'm a great fan of theirs, and I think they've got a really, really neat church. Best wishes always. So you save that in your Gmail drafts folder. This works with Gmail. And then with it in your drafts folder, you leave the recipients blank and don't click send. Okay, so with this in your draft folder, go back to your spreadsheet, go to add-ons. Now, if you don't have yet another mail merge, from add-ons in the spreadsheet, go to get add-ons, and it will come up with a list of a variety of many different add-ons that check them out. Some of them could be very nice, very helpful. You scroll down a little bit and eventually you'll find yet another mail merge. You'll notice that because I already have it, its button has manage. If you don't have it, the button will say free. So here it is, and so go back to press the X in the upper right corner of that box, go back to here, go to add-ons, yet another mail merge, start mail merge, and it will churn a little while, and then it will offer you Um, your emails will be sent to recipients in column C. That column C is the one that is headed, and the first row has email. By the way, notice in the draft, I put dear and then double brackets, first name, comma, and that will then assure me that the first name, it'll be dear Jorge, dear Joseph, dear Carol, and so on and so forth. So now the email template, that will be your draft. So you want to go here, and it basically will present your drafts folder. So I want Hi Pope, and so I click that. It says Hi Pope, and click on Track Emails Opened, which means that, or clicked or bounced, which means that you will get a report on the spreadsheet of who opens those emails, which is always a nice thing to have. So you know who your real friends are by the ones who open them, and it will also track the bounced ones and give you a report that, hey, this is not a valid email address, or it got bounced back for some reason. And then when you're all ready, just click send 9 emails, and off they will go. Because this is all fictitious and a demo, I'm not going to do that, but your emails will be delivered within the next few seconds. And then you will receive the report actually on this spreadsheet of which ones were opened and what the fate of the email is. So that's it. It's that simple. So good luck with it. We're getting fairly close to the end. The last thing is going to be MailChimp, with a strange name and rather unusual layout, but it is a marvelous service. What's really good about it is that many people and companies use Constant Contact for this kind of thing. That, however, costs $17 a month for less than 500 addresses. And MailChimp is forever free if you stay under 2,000 addresses and 12,000 emails per month. That's an awful lot more than probably any of us in here will be sending out, at least for personal things. So I think it's well worth looking into. MailChimp, this is what their first page looks like. And I kind of agree with what I highlighted with the blue arrow there. Whether you need to sell your products, share some big news, or tell a story, our campaign builder makes it easy to create email campaigns that best suit your message. And I think that includes our message of the Lord. There's a number of very good tutorials. I Google searched MailChimp tutorial 2017, and this is what came up. If you really want to get interested in MailChimp and spend a little bit of time working with it, probably an hour spent with one of these tutorials will save you a few hours trying to work around it. So that's that. And this is the end. So go forth bravely into cyberspace and proclaim the good news. And get the conversation going on Yammer. And thank you.
Thank you.
Any thoughts, questions, observations? Rotten Tomatoes?
My goal when I come to something like this is that I leave with one new thing. And that last piece about yet another mailroom is something I did not know.
Ah.
And I can use it today.
Good, good, yeah. It's a bit limited free version. There's a paid-for version that is relatively inexpensive, that is almost unlimited. Like it goes from, I think, a maximum of 50 free, and it goes up to 400 paid.
50
So,
email addresses.
Yeah. or no, 50 emails sent per day.
Oh,
Google pays a lot of attention to the number of emails that you send, and they will very quickly limit you for going over. But I think they expand that for the users of their own product there. I'm sure they have other ways of checking to see that you're not doing the wrong thing with it. But yeah.
You encountered, when you load your family up on the YouTube channel, one of the annoying features about YouTube is it goes on to the next thing, right? So have you had any feedback from people about, well, I was watching you, and then I got a detergent commercial or something.
or worse.
And how
Or worse.
do you have any way of controlling that? I think especially in the Catholic world, there can be a problem where we want wholesome content to go out to people, and then people end up getting led from, inadvertently led from us to things that are not wholesome.
Spend a little bit of time with that, because I think that there is something you can click on that does not make, now this is for the viewer, not for the poster. For the viewer, that can make it not go right on to something else. And the control that you have over what else comes up, basically I think is dependent on on what you have done with it before. In other words, they look for patterns in what you like to view, and they kind of gear it towards that, and sometimes throw in a little curveball. As far as advertising, I think that there are ways of how would I say, getting ads more in tune with what you would want to see and perhaps want to buy, rather than random stuff. Now, I've seen those opportunities and those options. I haven't actually followed through with them. In preparing this, I saw a lot of things that, I've got to come back to this, and I think that's one of them.
Well, my thought would be the keywords might help. So when you look for a Bishop Barron video, you're going to get 10 more Bishop Barron videos, and I wonder if you sprinkle your YouTube posting with the right kind of keywords, the likelihood is that the next thing the person sees will be.
See that, and precisely, and that's another thing. I have not yet gotten into keywords and hashtags and that sort of thing. When I get the time, I'd like to go back to a whole bunch of videos and just put in the keywords that I really want, and see if I can get a little bit more viewers that way. But there was one other thing that addressed what you were saying, but that slipped my mind. Senior moment.
You were wonderful.
Yeah.
So I learned
thank
a
you.
lot. I'm not a techie at all.
Well, thank you.
I
Thank you.
learned a whole lot.
Yeah, just
We're gonna
keep pushing the buttons.
get on that 105 before it gets.
And as you know, the neat thing about all of this is that, and I have to say, especially with Apple, it's very hard to really permanently screw it up.
We have an Apple computer and I have my iPad, but we are going to get into the iPhones because we've been Android and it's time to get everything the same.
And when you have everything the same, they all talk to each other.
Yeah,
you do some, you buy an app on here and it pops up on the others too, and hey, neat.
Yeah, gotta do that. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
You're
Thank
wonderful.
you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, go forth and evangelize.
Okay.